Okay, this lesson is on perimeter, circumference, and area. I am sorry that I could not be here today, so hopefully this won't be any big deal for me missing out and you guys getting to hear the video and rolling with it. So here we go. You're going to see some formulas that you've seen in the past. If I have a square and I want to find the perimeter, of course I could add up all four sides. Or, since each side is the same, I could just take 4 times however long a side is. And then area is length times width or base times height. Or, since every side's the same, I just could take a side and square it. Okay, for our rectangle, our formula for perimeter is 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. And sometimes you'll see this as 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes I use the L and the W, sometimes I use the B and the H, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then area is length times width or base times height. So you could also say area is length times width. Okay, and then talking about a circle, our circumference is the distance around the circle. So that's a lot like perimeter. And we have 2 formulas that we can use. It just depends on the situation. D is the diameter, and that's all the way across through the center of the circle. And R is the radius, that's halfway across, coming from the center of the circle out to an edge of the circle. And the formula for area is pi r squared. So let's just get going. I'm going to find the area and the perimeter for these following figures. So what shape does that look like? A rectangle. So I can take my base times my height, or my length times my width, however you want to think of it. So I would take my base, which is 8, times my height, which is 5, and 8 times 5 makes 40. And then I do want to practice labeling my units. And so this is in meters, and area is always in square units. So it's 40 meters squared, or 40 square meters. Okay, perimeter. You can add up all 4 sides, or you can use your formula 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. Really, however you want to do it, it doesn't really matter. If I use the formula 2 times the base is 8, plus 2 times the height is 5. And what do you get if you work that out? 26. And it is in meters. Perimeter is just always whatever the unit is. Meters, inches, centimeters. And we're done. Okay, number 2 is the same thing. It's another rectangle, so I would take the base times the height for the area. So the base is 11, and the height is 9. And how much is 11 times 9? 99 inches squared. Okay, perimeter, I can add up all 4 sides, or I can use the formula 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. And if I use that formula, I would take 2 times the base, which is 11, plus 2 times the height, which is 9. And how much does that give us? 40 inches. Okay, moving on to our circle. Area is the formula pi times radius squared. So is this 8 my radius? Nope. The radius is only halfway across. So the radius is from the center out to an edge. So if this is all the way across, which is called the diameter, and that's 8, how much would the radius be? 4. So I would take pi times my radius squared. Okay, I'm going to keep this answer in terms of pi, and then I'm going to show you how I could just get a final answer. So I'm going to take 4 and square it, which is 16, and then I'm just going to leave the pi there, and my answer is 16 pi inches squared. Most of the time, I'm going to leave my answers in terms of pi, because it's just easier. If I wanted to get a decimal equivalent to this, I could take 16 times 3.14, or I would suggest let's use the pi key. The pi key is above this caret right here. This is called a caret. and it's in blue. And so I go second, and then rooftop, caret, whatever you want to call it, and then I can do this pi symbol, and then I can get a decimal equivalent if I want to do that. So if you do put pi in the calculator, I do want you to use the pi button rather than 3.14. So it's above the divide. We have that symbol that looks like a rooftop. It's called a caret, and I just go second and caret, and there it is. Okay, circumference is either 2 pi r or pi times diameter. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use pi times diameter. I just think it's easier. Our diameter is 8, so I put 8 where the d is, and recopy the pi, and that's my answer, 8 pi. And circumference is like perimeter, it's just in whatever the unit is. So 8 pi inches. Okay, let's go ahead and do 5. Area is pi r squared. And is this 5 our radius? Yes, it is. So it would be pi times 6 squared. And how much is 6 squared? 36. So it would be 36 pi. And what would my units be? Yards squared. Okay, the circumference. I can either do 2 pi r or pi d. I'll go ahead and do 2 pi r just so you can see something different. So I take 2 times pi times r, and what did we say the radius was? 5. And if I multiply the 2 and the 5 together, that makes 10. So my answer is 10 pi, and that would be in yards. And that is my area, and that is my circumference. I think I'll go ahead and skip number 4, just because I think that you all probably know what's going on. So let's move on. Okay, now we get into some more exciting problems. So number 6 says your pool is 15 feet wide. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Your pool is 15 feet wide and 20 feet long. Okay, so it's 15 feet wide and it's 20 feet long with a 3-foot deck surrounding it. So from here to here is 3 feet. From here to here is 3 feet. From here to here is 3 feet. And of course, from here to here is also 3 feet. Okay, then it says you want to build a fence around the deck. How much fencing will you need? So if I want to put a fence around the deck, I want to put my fence all the way around this right here. So I'm putting the fence around my deck. Do you think that that is finding perimeter, or do you think that that is finding area? Perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around something, and I want to put a fence around the deck. Okay, so I want to know something about perimeter, and then this shape here is a rectangle. So my formula is going to be 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. So let's just talk. My base is from here to here, and how long would you say that this base is? I know it's 3 from here to here, 15 from here to here, 3 from here to here, so that makes 21. 3 plus 15 plus 3. So my base is 21. Then I want to know how much my height is. So my height all the way from here to here, I've got this 3-foot deck, I've got the 20-foot on the pool there, and then I've got another 3-foot deck here. So 3 plus 20 plus 3 makes 26, and that's the height. Okay, take a second and calculate that. Boop, 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 boop. And what do you get? 94. So we need 94 feet of fencing. Fun, right? Smiley face. Okay, number 7. Candace has a square picture that is 4 inches on each side. So let me draw a little picture of that. She's got this square picture. It's 4 inches on each side. The picture is framed with a length of ribbon. So we've got this ribbon that is framing the picture. Does that look like perimeter or area? Perimeter. So let's talk about the perimeter of my ribbon for just a second. My perimeter would be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, or I could always use a formula. And what do you get for the perimeter of that ribbon? 16. Okay. She wants to use the same piece of ribbon, and this is 16 inches of ribbon that I have here. So let me write that down. That looks a little blurry. I'm going to try to clear it up. Okay, so she has ribbon all the way around here. So she has 16 inches of ribbon around her picture frame. Then she wants to use the same piece of ribbon to frame a circular picture. What's the maximum radius of the circular frame? So she wants to use this same piece of ribbon. She wants to use this 16-inch piece of ribbon to frame a circular picture. So if I had a circular picture and I wanted to frame it, am I talking circumference or am I talking about area? I'm talking about circumference. So let me go ahead and write down our formula for circumference. Either 2 pi r or pi d, doesn't really matter. And then I know that she wants to use this 16-inch piece of ribbon around my circular picture. So if I know she wants to put a 16-inch piece of ribbon around the circle, I know what my circumference is. My circumference is the 16 inches because that's the amount of ribbon that she wants to put around the circle, so the 16 inches would be the circumference. So I'm replacing the C with 16. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I'm going to recopy 2 pi r. Since it wants to know what the maximum radius is, I'm going to solve this equation for r. So when everything's smushed together, that's multiplication. I get rid of multiplication by dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. On the right side, the 2's cross off, the pi's cross off. All I'm left with is radius. And then this I'm going to put in the calculator, but I've got to be careful here. And the reason I need to be careful is because I'm dividing by not only the 2, but also the pi. So I need to put parentheses around my 2 pi. So it's going to be 16 divided by, parenthesis, 2 pi, close the parenthesis. And that is about 2.5. And this is in inches. So that would be the radius that I would need if I wanted to frame my circular picture with the 16-inch piece of ribbon. Okay, number 8. I'm told that the perimeter of the following triangle is 53 units. Find the length of each side. So perimeter I know is the distance around. So it's this plus this plus this, and I know that that perimeter is 53. So I'm going to add the 3x plus 4 to the 4x minus 3 to the x plus 12, and that gives me a perimeter of 53. So equals 53. And then I'm just going to solve this equation. So I'm going to start by combining like terms. What do you get if you combine all those little x's? 8x. What do you get if you combine your constants? The positive 4, the negative 3, the positive 12. Positive 13. And then I bring down the equals 53. I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. I don't want to show it. What do I get if I subtract 13? 40. What do I get if I divide? 5. Okay. Then it wanted me to find the length of each side. So it's plug-in time. If I plug 5 into this x, what's 5 plus 12? 17. So this side is 17. if I plug my 5 into this x, 3 times 5 plus 4, 19. And if I plug 5 into this x, 4 times 5 minus 3, 17. And it shouldn't be too surprising that these two sides are the same length, because these two angles are the same measure, and I know that if those are the same angles, that the sides across from them are congruent. So this is an isosceles triangle here. And little y, I know the problem doesn't actually ask for y, but what would y be? 80. I know my three angles add to be 180, so 50 and 50 makes 100, so y would be 80. And I know it didn't ask for that, but there it is. It was fun, right? Okay, we're almost there. The length of a rectangle is 3 times the width. The area is 27 square inches. Find the perimeter of the figure. Okay, we're told the length of a rectangle is 3 times the width. I'm going to write an equation for this. The length of a rectangle, L, is my equal sign, 3 times the width. How can I write 3 times the width? 3W. Okay, next thing I'm told is that the area is 27 square inches. And I'm talking about a rectangle, so I know my formula for area is length times width, or base times height. The reason I didn't use base times height this time was because this was using length and width terms, so that's why I said length times width. Since it tells me that the area is 27, then I can replace the A with a 27, because that's what it says the area is, so 27 is going to go into the A. And then length, I wrote over here that length is 3W. So I can take what my length is and plug it into my L. So where the L is, I'm going to put in 3W, and then I'm going to recopy my other W. Okay, now I can clean this up. How much is W times W? W squared. So I have 3W squared equals 27. And then I'm going to try to solve for W. So I would divide both sides by 3. I would get W squared equals 9. Do you remember how you make a squared go away? You square root both sides, and you get the square root of 9 to be 3. Technically, it's a plus or a minus 3, but I only want to use the positive number. Okay, and then the other part of the problem said, find the perimeter of the figure. So I know my width is 3. Now I just need to figure out what my length is. So if my width is 3, I can take this 3 and plug it in right there. What's 3 times 3? 9. So my length is 9. So now that I know my length is 9, my width is 3, I can find the perimeter of the figure. Remember, perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, or 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. I know my length is 9, so it's going to be 2 times 9 plus 2 times my width, and I know my width is 3. And what did we get if we work that out? Boop, 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 boop. Are you all awake? Are you working it out? What do you get? The perimeter is 24, and this is all in inches. And that's our answer. This problem was a little more complicated. You just kind of have to go through it step by step. Hopefully it made some sense. Okay, number 10. I want to find the area and the perimeter of the triangle. Now, we didn't do a formula for this on the front page, so our formula for area of a triangle is either 1/2 base times height, or you can do base times height divided by 2, whichever one you're more comfortable with. So I know wherever my right angle is, that my base and my height are always attached to the right angle. So height is always straight up and down, and the base will be attached to it. So we can count this. How long is this base? Everybody count. 6. What is our height? We can count this real easily because it's just vertical. 8. So my base is 6 and my height is 8. So I'm going to take my base, 6, times my height, 8, and I'll just go ahead and divide by 2. And what do you get if you do that? 24. And I don't know what kind of units this is in, so I'm just going to say units squared. Okay, perimeter. Perimeter comes from adding all the 3 sides. There's no special formula for perimeter of a triangle. You just add all 3 sides. Do you know what the length of this side is? If I didn't know, I could do Pythagorean theorem to figure it out, or I could use the distance formula to figure it out. But this is a special 6, 8, 10 triangle. Did you remember? So I'm going to add 6 plus 8 plus 10, and that makes 24. And that would be in units. It's just a coincidence that they came out to be the same answer. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay, now the exciting part for you, assignment time. Your assignment is to do this next page here. Assignment over perimeter, circumference, and area. And let's see, there is a back side. There's only 3 problems on the back, so hopefully this won't take you too long. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Smiley face. I'll see you soon.